guys to Real Talk Tuesdays, and on today's video we are talking about abuse. Abuse in capital letters, because abuse really carries a lot. There is the physical abuse, emotional abuse, and mental abuse. And we will not only talk about relationships, you can also go through abuse in families, in your workplace, all that. And I'm not a therapist, I'm not a therapist, and I'm talking out of experience and what I've learned, my opinions, and I hope I don't really trigger someone. And if this video will trigger you, kindly, I'm really sorry. And yeah, you can talk or air out your opinion on something that I've said, and I'm not, my intention is not to harm anyone or to trigger anyone. So yeah, guys, so as I start, we'll start with abuse in relationships, and I'm not focusing on females alone. Lazima hata tuangalie boys, the men. Yeah, so mostly we see a lot of women going through abusive relationships, and it's very rare for men to come out and talk about how they go through abuse in relationships, because the society has labeled them as very strong and they cannot speak out. So yeah, I also say that I'll be inviting guests here, and those guests will be men, women, and they'll come here and talk. You guys have you can ask questions. I'll put a question and answer on my Instagram page. If you've not followed me there, you'll find me there. My name is veronica.kabi. Go search it on Instagram, follow me, and I'll be posting on my stories each and every time. And this space will be airing each and every Tuesday. So yeah, I'll start by talking about relationships. In relationships, we've seen abuse, and women go through abuse mostly physically, and not only in relationships, even marriages. We see that a lot, and that really breaks my heart all the time when I find someone or encounter someone or find a video talking about someone being abused or showing someone being abused, and it's really not good. I really don't support abuse. And ikifika point your guy starts beating you, I'd really tell you, kindly just get out of that relationship. Yeah, wewe toka tu kwa hiyo relationship, usiwahi vumilia kupigwa. And kuna kitu ingine I noticed in marriages, according to what people say, hata kwa news unaonanga ati a woman was beaten by the husband, and she goes back at home to the family, and the family is like, you should go back to your husband. And that really pisses me off because even if she's married, she is your child. And mbona urudisha mtoto wako mahali anapigwa? Kama wewe mwenyewe umpigi, mbona umrudishe mahali anapigwa? You guys should support your child and make sure this guy gets accountability for what he has done. So as I was saying, they really need to take accountability for what they have done. And what I can say is, if hata mi si mzazi, but ifike point nikuwe mzazi, nipate mtoto, whether a girl or a boy, and she or he experiences gender-based violence, I'd really not want my child to go back to that situation again. Nitakaa na yeye until this guy gets accountable for what he has done. And that does not mean ati akuja aseme pole and my child goes back. No, he needs to be arrested. He needs to serve for what he has done, and for my child to get justice. Yeah, so let's go back to relationship. I don't know much about marriage, so I won't talk about marriage because mi sijawahi olewa. So watu wenye wameolewa ndio wanajua, but that's what I've heard, and I had to talk about it because it pisses me off a lot, because some parents, I don't know what's wrong with them. How can you send back your child to a place where they're being abused? that's not okay, and that's why unaonanga mtoto amerudi anakufa, you're like, oh, ungefanya. So I had to talk about that. So in relationships, even young couples mostly experience gender-based violence. For men, let me talk for men, but sitaongelea sana because I'm not a man. Men mostly experience mental abuse and emotional abuse in relationships, while women experience all of them in general, because it's very rare for you to find a woman beating up a man. You know, physical abuse is not only beating up someone physically, but also throwing cups, kuzivunja, kugonganisha ukuta, kuvunja TV, vitu kama hizo. Sijawahi experience, but naonanga kwa Nairobi gossip, after a guy has cheated, the girlfriend comes back and destroys everything in the house. I don't support that. That's not good. But yeah, I've seen that. But kwa relationship, for you to get, it's very rare for you to get a woman physically abusing a man. It's very rare. Sisemi hakuna, kunao, but it's very rare. For men, they experience it mentally, and that comes about through their girlfriends. And this, let me give you guys an example. So this is how men get mentally abused. You have your girlfriend, let's say me, I'm a man. Mimi sina job, ndio nimetoka campus, sina job, I'm really trying. We've moved in together, and the lady has a job, she's doing really well, and she's amefika point akona do. And for me as a man, I'm really showing love as I can, because pandea pesa, it's really not working out for me. And okay guys, ignore that noise, itakuwa imeisha by some minutes. So yeah, ignore the noise. As I was saying, so the lady comes back, she's like, and this is how it starts. Wewe uko lazy, mbona hata hujaenda kutafuta kazi? Kuingia tu kwa laptop uangalie kazi gani unaweza pata ndio umeshindwa. Mimi sitashinda huku nikinunua vitu za nyumba. You really a fucked up person. I can't even tolerate you. Hata sijui nani anaweza kupenda after tumeachana and all that. Yeah, some girls do say some mean things to their boyfriends, and that's how men really get deep into depression. That leads to mental abuse. That's actual mental abuse, and your mental abuse will lead to mental issues. So that's what I can say for men. For me, I know, for that example that I've given, that's what I know how men go through abusive relationships. Emotional abuse, maybe the girl is cheating, he can't do anything, but he really loves the girl. But I don't think there is any man who loves a girl to a point that he doesn't love himself. Men are so selfish, like literally selfish people. So they can't love you to the full potential. That's why I tell my girls, love your boyfriend or your partner with the 20% of you, not 100. Where JK your 80%, you should love you. Hata ikiwezekana 90% should be yours. The 10% you should now show it and love your partner, but don't love him fully, because let me just state the truth. Men are very selfish and they only think about themselves. And I know wengi watanikuja, but that's the truth. Hiyo ndio iko. Because for us girls, we love with all our heart, because we love you. Ile ya kulove, ile unasemanga aki mimi napenda chali yangu ile sana, mimi hata tukiachana sijui nini. But for men, they're like, mimi niko na dem, yes nampenda. Wanakuanga tu wamechukulia lightly. They're just happy to be there in a relationship, and you're there giving your all. And I won't talk much about that, because our topic is not about love. We'll come to that another day. So you should never about them that much. Just care less. And I'm not saying ukwe don't care. Pia care. If the guy really loves you, just show some care, show some love, And yeah, but don't lose yourself in relationships. Never love a person to a point where you don't love yourself. And never get into a relationship if you really don't love yourself. That sorry, my phone ilikuwa imejaza storage. Nimetoka kudelete some footages. Tulikuwa tumefika wapi? Also, I went home. My mom really took care of me and it was really nice, and I went back to school. But my point haikuwa kuambiana hiyo story. My point is how that experience affected my life. So after that, I got traumatized. Mpaka sahi have that trauma, and it's been 2 years. I got traumatized, and apart from that, I started getting panic attacks. I'd just sit down in my house and like nashtuka na feel ile baridi, nashindwa kupumua, and I'm like you see. So abuse comes with trauma, panic attacks, sometimes anxiety. I really became anxious. My god, nilianza kupata anxiety. I remember there is a time my sister had anxieties na alikuwa naenda hosi anapewa dawa, so nilikuwa naiba dawa zake naenda nazo kwangu, and then hizo dawa ukikunywa, unajua ni za kama depression, ukikunywa unalala like for a whole day. So kama umekunywa saa hii usiku, utaamka hii siku nyingine saa 7. So ilikuwa inakunoka, ulikuwa na feel dizzy, una feel una nguvu, unalala. So I do that, and it really affected me, and that's why I say if you go through abuse, just seek help and visit a therapist, because unaona mimi I never did any of that bad. So yeah, in relationships, that's how abuse comes about, and it's really never that easy, because let me give an example. I have ever gone through physical abuse, but I was not beaten up like physically. So the thing is, the guy yeah, I've healed. I'll talk about it because we broke up in 2024. So the guy, you know what he did? We had a misunderstanding and all that, arguments as usual in relationships. It got to a point where he took a knife, he wanted to stab me, but yeah, ile tu ya kushtua. So that really left me with so much trauma, and I wanted also to point that out. Abuse leaves trauma, causes panic attacks, and gives you anxiety. Yeah, so ndio maana nasema ukiwa na a boyfriend, a partner, and you see the abuse for the first time, run. Even if you love them, just go for your peace of mind, for your health. Just leave that relationship, because for me I was overlooking the red flags. I never really cared about the bad part of him. I only looked at the good part, which was bad, really bad. Yeah, so he did what he did, and I remember that day I told only my friend. She came, stayed with me. I never went out for like 3 days. I was really traumatized, because that was the first time I'm experiencing such a thing. And funny thing, I never told my parents, but my mom used to call me and she's like, you know, I'm a very emotional person, and anytime I go through something, I'll cry. That's how I am, because nikiwa happy I'll cry, nikiwa sad I'll cry, nikiwa angry I'll cry nikiwa angry hizo R na L nimeachia hapo, I'll cry. So she's like, Erimu uko sawa kweli, because the way we are talking, you don't seem like you're okay. So I remember I told my best friend, which was a guy, and he was really supportive. He really used to call me each and every time to check up on me, and I had another best friend who also would come check on me. And after, let's say I guess 4 days or 5 days, I now decided to go home. And when I got home, I talked to my mom. She was very supportive. That really messed up with me and messed up my mind, because ilifika point some things I can't do. I want to do something, but napata anxiety, I'm getting the panic attacks, I can't do that anymore. So I really had to pause my life at some point and just try to fix myself and heal, and that's why nilikuwa napotea YouTube saa zingine. So yeah, and right now I'm very okay, I'm very good, I've healed, I'm really feeling okay. And I'll also bring a guest here, Aman, atuambie how abuse really affects them and how they deal with them. For me, I dealt with mine through praying. Najua watu wengi kuna non-believers, and I get that. And but for me, what worked for me was praying and talking to my mom. We would talk so many times. She'd call me and she's like, unaendelea aje, kuna kitu unataka, kuna venye tunaweza kusaidia. And she was really supportive, because I was also going through something else, so it was double portion. Where is a wakati I'd never like to go back to 2023 and 2024. So yeah, and I'm really happy. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about abuse in relationships. Never tolerate abuse. When you get abused for the first time, leave. Usigoje tena ati ifanyike, because it's going to get worse, because you're giving this guy or this lady the space to continue abusing you. You're making them comfortable in that space, because when you guys argue or have a misunderstanding, the solution will be to beat you up, and sometimes to just mess up with your mind, and that's not good, because abuse inatokeanga mkiwa na ka misunderstanding, ama mkiwa na conflicts, ama hata mkiwa na arguments. Si mnaelewa? Kama ya wanaume, wacha niwaambie wanaume, maybe you're talking with your girl, you kama mnakuwa na arguments. Alafu during that argument, your girl starts now talking about your insecurities. It's like, na hiyo kichwa yako kubwa, bado tu hujapata job. Sorry guys, unafanya nini? Mr. Shinda hapa wanaume wengine wanafanya. Unajua ningekuwa nimechukuliwa na wanaume wangapi? Kazi yako ni kukaa kwa nyumba. And some guys really push themselves aki, but hawapati hiyo kazi. They go out, look. Mnajua hiyo economy venye iko sahi, and lack of jobs in our country. So yeah, that's it. And now with the relationship part, I'm done with it. And please, whenever you go through abuse, kindly seek help. And if you've ever gone through that, you can come talk to me. I'm not a therapist, but usiweka with your burden, talk it out. If you don't trust the people around you, or unaogopa pia wazazi, but they don't be afraid of your parents. I know some parents create that environment, fear to create boundaries between them and their children, but that's not okay. Be the friend to your child, and that has really helped me, because my mom is my best friend. Even my dad calls me and is like, ukwaje, unaendelea aje, uko poa, kuna kitu unataka. And I really love them, because wakiona nimenyamaza, they'll call me, wataanza kusumbua simu yangu na missed calls. So for the relationship part, I'm done with it. And relationship part is very broad, but I had to talk about that in lesser details briefly too, so that you can get my point. So kuna pia abuse in friendships. Some friends are just wanachezanga na your personality, and in friendships you really experience emotional abuse kuliko. But kuna friendships zingine unaonanga hadi wanachapa their friends. Sijawahi patana nayo sana, but once, kuchapana ni wale wanakuchukia. Those are not your friends. And whenever you experience abuse in friendship, pia achana na your friendship, or put a boundary. cause kuna kwangana friendships zingine you just can't live like that, cause you guys mnasaidiana, you're depending on each other on some things. Kama school, mtu mtapatana class kila time, you can't just ati achana tu na yeye ni hivyo tu, na sengine mtajipata group moja, so you need to communicate. So for me, I think for those situations, just create boundaries and make them aware that wewe uko na boundary yako, they shouldn't cross that. And yeah, so kuna abuse. Let me give an example of abuse in friendships. So tuseme wewe ni you're just upendi kuongea sana kwa hiyo friend group, and this comes about in friend groups. Hata friend tu wa kawaida, kama kuna story niliona TikTok, a girl and her best friend were walking. I know most of these things I'm talking in the female version because I'm also a girl. I can't talk much about men because I've not really known how men go through abuse in friendships. So as I was saying, this girl said they were walking with her best friend. So your best friend wakapita place kuna penthouse smart sana, a flat that has penthouse. Alafu she was like, mimi nitanunua penthouse moja huko na niwenta ita kama ukwe maid wangu niangaliange watoto. You know guys, that's sexual abuse. I know some people will take it lightly, will be like na joke, but that's abuse. You don't know how people react to what you say, cause unaweza ongea kitu and it will affect that person really bad. Na ndio maana hata kwa friendship kuna mental abuse. Juu mbona waambie rafiki yako kitu kama hiyo? Why would you tell your friend that atakuwa your maid? You can't say ile penthouse tutanunua, tununue gari pamoja, tu succeed pamoja. You're just seeing her and belittling her. That's not good. That's abuse, and this will really affect her. Cause imagine after kuambiwa hivyo, imagine ni wewe after umeambiwa hivyo, you just go back home, think about it, and you're like, is something wrong with me? Kwani niko mnyonge aje to the point that naweza kuwa maid? So you see, hiyo inaleta some thinking, and this will lead to mental abuse. This is actually mental abuse, because this girl will keep on thinking about that for the rest of her life, and this leaves something in her. I can't say that's trauma. I can call it can say what, umeacha tu kidonda ndani yake, na hiyo kidonda itawaipona, cause every time she'll see you atakumbuka, and that's abuse. Kuna wengine they joke with your height. I know joking with height is okay here and there, it's fine, but kuna wale they go to the extreme and they're like, hey, wewe ni kafupi, pesa utapata, utaolewa aje, utaoa aje, wewe ni kafupi aje, hata ukaangi smart, hata tungo tunakutoa aje. That's not good. Hata kuna wengine wanaambia mtu ni mrefu, wewe umerefuka, hata ukitembea uta nini. Wengine wanatukana na and us plus size girls, sisi watu wanene. Hey, but they all our lives in primary school. But primary school was the tough one, because people would insult you with your weight, and they'll be like, hey, kanono sijui nini. I remember time I was going to school. No, I was coming from school, and I had another girl who was from another school. I don't know her name. We were not friends, we were strangers, and she was walking besides me, and a boy walked past me and was like, hey, kanono kamenona, I don't know. And this girl, I don't know her, this girl stood up for me. Imagine. Na sikuwahi muuliza jina, ama nilimuulizanga nikasawa, I can't remember. She stood up for me and she's like, na amenona jukwaa wanakulanga vizuri na wako na pesa. Na wewe umekonda kwa nini? Kwenye si hamna pesa, mbona baba yako hawanunulie vitu? Actually she stood up for me, and I can't remember well what she said, but she was like, ni jukwenyu kwa wako na pesa and all that, ndio maana amenona na anakaa vizuri. And I'm thankful to that girl. I don't even know her. I can't even remember her. I guess I was in class 4 or 3 hapo. And yeah, so many people go through that. Hata watu wanono in friendships, hata ukiwa mkubwa, you get into a friendship or a friend group and the people really isolate you because you're fat. Wakitaka kwenda mahali hawawezi kuinvite, utaharibu their setup, how they look, utaharibu nini yao au raya wenye wanataka kwenda nayo to where they are going to, so you're just left behind. And that's why so many plus size people really just isolate themselves and become introverts. But never do that. For me, I've never experienced ati in a friend group watu wananitukana juu niko mnene. Sijai pata hiyo, sijai experience. Ama nimewahi? Sijawai. At a high school, I'd really see myself as really fat, and I had this girl, her name is Lynette, and she'd tell me, Guy Vero, unajua watu wanono wanakaanga aje, unajua venye uko na mwili poa. I guess the people that are always around me are just there to hype me up, and that has really helped me to love my body more. Tebu tusiongelele, I'm going out of the topic. Aki guys, I'm going out of the topic. Tutoke sasa. We don't talk about self-love in this video. That's another video. You see, we'll be talking about a lot. So yeah, that's how abuse comes about in relationships. If you have friends and you're doing that, kindly stop. That really affects them, and that's abuse. Ukitoa maneno kwa mdomo and you speak it, I know others speak it out of jokes, but kuna jokes zingine zinafikanga point C jokes. Jokes zingine, and that's why you need to stand up for yourself. Mtu kama huyo dem aliambiwa ati utakuwa nini, utakuwa maid wangu nini, angemuuliza kwani nakaa maid, na mbona wewe basi usikue maid wangu, mbona usione tukisucceed pamoja. Never keep quiet. Hata mimi I'm trying, as nice as I am, I'm trying nowadays. I don't want ati ninyamaze sana, ati mtu ananiongelesha vibaya na niko hapo na ninanyamaza. That's not the way to go. You should talk so that you can set and show you putting a boundary between you guys. Asiwahi ruka hiyo boundary, na ukifanya hivyo hata hawai anza kukuchezea tena, asikulete hiyo ujinga. Akianza tena kukuchokoza, you like, no, I can't tolerate that, you've gone too far and I'm not comfortable you saying what you're saying. And yeah, so you next time you do not need to cross that. You do not need to cross my boundary and talk like that. So hata gossip, hata kuongelelea beshte yako to other friends, that's abuse to them. When they find out, it will affect. Tebu to Google what is abuse. What is abuse? Let's Google. It's a really broad word that covers a lot of things. So abuse is when someone uses their behavior or influence over another person to cause harm or to exert power over them. That's actually abuse. Even controlling someone, that's abuse. So ndio maana nawapatia different examples. Hata venye nimesema kuhusu friendship, that's abuse. Even gossiping about someone, that's abuse, because you're affecting them in one way or another. And that's why cause ni lazima tu you'll gossip. Say that you'll never gossip, but make sure you gossip with someone who does not talk too much. Aende tena ambie huyo, and then you're affecting that person. Or rather just keep away from abuse, or not abuse, from gossiping about someone. Yeah, so that's it. And especially when that behavior is repeated, it can be hard for many of us to recognize abuse, because it is more often comes from someone you know and trust. And that's true. Abuse comes from someone you really trust and know, and that's why we are going to family. Family can really contribute to abuse, and this not physical. In families you can't really get physically, maybe siblings. When you're unaonanga mkienda mahali ama get together ama party home, they start fighting over something, that's actually physical abuse. But kuna emotional and mental abuse comes with family. So for family, mostly it comes, and that's why some sisi generation kuna many young people wamejitokeza and they're like, I'm coming from a very toxic family, my parents are doing this and this, and that's actually abuse. Hii abuse ndio inafanya watoto wanawaita toxic. And for me, I really have good parents. I can't say they've ever been toxic to any of us. Never. I don't like quite toxic to any of my siblings. They've been very supportive in each and everything that we do, and that's why we are always thriving in our ways. But one thing with my parents, and I really love them for that, they always notice a talent in you and they'll support you fully, like fully, and they'll be like, how can we help? How can we help you start? How can we help you navigate through this? Is there something you can do? And I remember when I was in class 4, sasa tumeenda topic ingine ya wazazi. So wacha tu niongelee. When I was in class 2 ama nilikuwa class 1. When I was in class 1, I came across a book, a textbook. It had a recipe for baking, and that's the first time I saw how to bake a cake, and I gained interest from that day. We never had an oven, we never had anything to use to bake. Hatukuwa nayo hiyo time. So I'd see that book, I'd really look at that book and I'm like, kai mom, mi nataka tu kujua kubake. Me I need to know how to bake. And I got to class 4 now. My parents wakanunua oven, wakanunua fridge. They got a lot of electronics, and my mom bought me a baking tin. Imagine, she knew I had interest and I was in class 4. And my aunt, the sister to my mom, also saw that I had an interest because she was living in Mombasa. She always had a baker who'd come to show her how to bake. So when she came to our place, she'd really ask me, uko sawa tupike keki sahi? And she really showed me how to bake a cake. My aunt is the first person who showed me how to bake, and it's not a joke, because I remember the first time that I baked and she was not around. I was following a recipe online, and ilikuwa imeandika hapo all ingredients and kulikuwa na salt. So I was young. Mimi your time sikuna 1 tablespoon, they write it in a short form. So I don't know how I confused. Nikaeka 1 tablespoon of salt. 1 tablespoon of salt. Guy. So imagine nilipika keki and all that. Keki ikatokea smart. It was a chocolate cake. And when I cut it like for all of us to taste, ilikuwa na chumvi mingi sana. We ended up throwing that cake. And now my aunt used to come home during the holidays. We'd bake sponge cake, we'd bake the hard cakes, we'd bake marble cakes, and yeah, tukazoea tu hivyo. It got to a point where I started baking alone. My dad got me an electric whisk, and he really supported me, and I got new pans, and sometimes I'd save up and get new baking pans. I don't know why your interest ilipungua, but I need to go back so that I can perfect my skill, because it's something I'm interested in and I love. Yeah, so I really want to thank them a lot, because they've been perfect to me. They've been amazing to me. So yeah, so there is abuse in families. An example is when, let me give an example. Maybe your child is not very well with schoolwork, and she or he cannot be able to capture or understand some schoolwork, and you find that some parents, they're like bashing the kid, and they're like, wewe kwani una kichwa mzuri, mbona uelewi kitu rahisi kama hii? And that's actually not good. Kuna watoto tu kuna kuanga na hii kitu inaitwa what can I say, sikumbuki jina vizuri, but inaitwa a reading disorder. Kuna reading disorder, kuna ingine I guess illiterate, I'll look for that word and then nitaiweka hapa, nimesahau, but inahusiana na mtoto he or she is always trying to study each and every time, but she does not capture that, haielewi, and I end up ku fail exams. And kuna na watoto, they are not smart when it comes to school, in the schoolwork and exams they fail and all that, but I don't really support someone bashing their kid to that point. What you can do is just offer help. Imagine when your kid goes through that, you just sit down with the child and you're like, baby, ni wapi you feeling like unaona ni kama unapata a hard time kuelewa what's wrong. Is it the school? How are the teachers? Are you being able to understand what the teacher is saying? And you know, kids are kids, they'll talk. Atakwambia, mom, kuko hivi na hivi, mi kuna place sielewi, mi kuna place inanikalianga ngumu. And that's when you need now to be able to talk to them well and understand them. Unajua ni mzazi, you've experienced a lot, and when you get that from your child, you know how to help them. But bashing them and you're not helping. Kumtandika, kumwambia next time ukwe namba, I know kuna wale wako na discipline cases au tandika, but kuna wale they really try but they still can't understand what they are being taught, and that's hiyo ni abuse. Sijui mbona unachapa mtoto juu amefail exam. You shouldn't do that. You should actually talk, and that's why I'm always saying, if you're a parent, I'm not a parent, but if you're a parent, kindly show love, try to understand your child, be friends with your be the number one best friend of your child. Mtoto wako asiisema ati kona best friend, asemange my mom, my dad is my best friend. You should be like that, cause you need to be there for her or for him. Mostly naonanga ni vijana. Kwanza class yetu tukiwa primary school, there is a kid who's a boy who used to really fail exams, and the parents sometimes hata alikuwa anamtandika, hata mimi nilikuwa namhurumia, and it's not because ati he was alikuwa kichwa ngumu, akwa ati anafanya homework, alikuwa anajipush, hadi alikuwa anakuja kwetu ananiomba textbook ndio afanye homework. But I guess kuna watu who are not that can I say intelligent to be able to understand some things. You can find it easy for yourself. Unaweza sema ai kitu ni rahisi, but for them it's not actually that easy, and you shouldn't go hard on your kid. And that's how abuse comes out in families. Also kubash watoto. Na pia kuna sasa ukiwa mkubwa kwanza ukiwa high school, kuna wazazi wengine they'll always side with the teachers, they'll not want to hear what their kid is saying. I know some children will lie and come up with stories which are not true, but they'll be free with you, they'll talk to you about what has happened, and they'll try to share what they are going through. And isifike point you're just there unasema hey, mwalimu mtandike huyu hata sijui, maybe akwe ni disciplinary case. I don't know, I don't know how to deal with disciplinary cases. So yeah, for me, I just think you need to understand with families, because that's those are people that you can't disappear from. They'll always be in your life in whatever case you're in, and because as a parent you need to bring that understanding and communication, and the number one thing is love. Love is the fruit, is the source of all this. Hiyo ndio itatoa mazao ya the understanding, the communication, hiyo mtoto kuongea, kusema chenye anapitia and all that. So I really think parents should be best friends. Kwanza sahi kuna wengine naonanga you finished campus and you're home, you're trying to look for a job, and your parents are really pushing you, and sometimes wanakuongelesha vibaya, sometimes wanakufukuza. For me, mimi najiambianga, even I don't know if I'm correct or wrong, I'm always telling myself I'll work very hard to be able to be a very stable parent, that when I get kids and they finish school and all that, and they don't get a job, I'll support them to the full potential. I'll support them fully. Mimi mtoto wangu ati juu ni kijana akifikisha 18 years na mfukuza kwangu, no, that I won't do that. Mimi mtoto wangu amalize campus, if he finds life is really tough out there, arudi home. Akirudi home, we look for a way for him to get a job. If you're stable enough, you can open a business for your child. Na unaanga wengine wakisema uya hizi saidika, but ndio mtoto afike hapo, it really comes with you not being able to give that listening ear and understanding them, so they don't see the need to tell you what's going on. And that's why unafungulia mtu biashara, it collapses and you're like funny, but also it's on inside and wamefanya collapse because he's not speaking and not saying what he's eating up. Or kuna wengine tu wanakuanga careless people and they'll make sure that business collapses. But if you're really showing love to your child, unamfanya rudi nyumbani and you're like, what's your interest according to what you've learned in campus? Can I open like a business? Unaweza taka business gani and how will you work towards it? Just do a small interview to them, ni kama unamwandika kazi, because see at your business you're giving them to hivyo, it's like an investment for you because you're investing there, and you make sure he works hard and kinda pays some interest to you so that asifanye hiyo biashara yangu. Okay, I don't know if you guys get me. Hiyo pia ni topic ingine aki I have a lot to talk about, but I wanted to talk about abuse. So I'm always against abuse. I'm saying it's really late, inafika saa moja. I want to wind up and say this. Even in families, kuna wengine nilikuwa niseme nini? Story na campus. Kuna sahi tuko campus, yes, and your child, mtoto 21, 22 is still a child. Don't expect a 21-year-old or a 22, 24-year-old to send you money back at home as a parent. That's really wrong. Usigoje ati, I know wacha mtoto akupe, but see, you're demanding. You're like, hey, wewe ulienda campus. Wazazi wengine take campus as a job. Mtoto is studying. And yes, amefungua ka side hustle. That's what is keeping him. Hiyo ndio inamsaidia. You're not giving them money and you still are asking for money from them. That's absolutely not good. That's not okay at all. You should be there for kwanza mtoto akiwa campus, support them fully. I know boys ndio wanaachilianga, that's not good. Na ndio maana nimesema mimi, for me, mimi nikipata mtoto I'll never sitamwachilia ati hivyo, but kuna ways za kumfanya apate. But hizi mambo za kusema tutatuma pesa, hizo ni long gone, and that's why some people get depressed. And even in our school tumeona hata watu wengine wamefanya suicide cause hawana pesa, but their parents rely on them. Kwanza wenye wako ushago, mtoto amekuja Nairobi shule ndio like mbona utumi pesa home? That's abuse. Hiyo ni abuse actually. That's abuse. Don't do that. Mtoto amekuja kusoma, what you can do is support them. Hawakumalizia masomo high school, they also need to be supported here to the way you can. You can budget yourself and send what you think can really take them through, but usikose kumpatia pesa tuseme hata jitafutie. Unataka akue mwizi alafu itiwa amekufa? Don't do that. Me I'm against those parents by the way. Usiwe achilia mtoto wako ati ajitafutie ati ni mkubwa. Esema ulikuwa unampa pocket money high school, do the same here. Ako shule, hayuko hustle, hayuko in a fully paying job. Ati now the kid is in school in Nairobi and you're asking for money at school fees. Kama yeye mwenyewe is struggling to get the school fees to pay for themselves, how do you expect them to pay for their siblings? That's like, does not make sense to me at all. But I'll come and talk about parents because yeah, some parents, me nimeona wazazi wengine and sometimes I become very mad, but I'm always in support and I stand with those parents that support their children fully mpaka wafike mahali wanajiweza to the full potential that they have. And yeah, that's it. And there's kuna kwanga na abuse hata kwa workplace. Unaweza patana na a very toxic manager, a very toxic staff, and they are always bashing you. Like my mom used to tell me when she was working in some petrol station Kitambo, there is this girl who used to like to abuse her, and she's like, because my mom is my mom, yes, is beautiful, ni mweupe, and I don't know why they were coming for her because she ni mweupe, and they were like, wewe sasa, like they used to talk to her in ways that really would make her feel bad and bring her down, and that's abuse. Hiyo ni abuse. Ndio maana nasema ukiongelesha mtu it's abuse. Kuna wengine niliona alikuwa ameenda internship and the staff who was allocated to her was really toxic, used to shout at, kwani wewe university ulikuwa unasoma nini? Kwani hujui chenye unafanya? Really? Hizo ni vitu za kitambo. And I get, sina ubaya, but I don't want to say watu wa kitambo, but previous generations focus on that more rather than to help you understand and just learn how to navigate through the work you've been given. They're like, where's ufanya, and they won't help you na wamekuwa allocated, and then say nitalipwa na nani sijui nini. Me by the way, because I'll get mad, but I'm never in support of abuse, and I'll never support abuse in any in my life ever. So yeah, that's actually about abuse. And if you go through abuse, talk to someone, because abuse brings all that trauma, depression, panic attacks, anxiety, even words are abuse. Tumeongelea hiyo ya marafiki, even words are abuse. So we should never tolerate such things. That's something that will bring you down, break you down. And if you see abuse, run. Yes, you can notice abuse. If something really hurts you, that's abuse. Tuseme hivyo. Kama kitu inakuhurt, emotion inafanya ushinde ukifikiria, that's abuse. Just leave it alone. Create a boundary. And also, after you create your boundary, make it aware to the person you're creating that boundary for. Mwambie hapa msee, kuna kitu ulisema na mimi sikupenda, na mimi siwezi taka ufanye hivyo tena. I won't tolerate that again. And you speak it out. Kuna wengine wanakuwa, I was to talk a lot, kuna wengine wanaweza kuwa abuse na kushinda tu amekusumbua. Even obsession is abuse. Obsession is abuse. So yeah, that's actually the end. I don't think kuna kitu ingine tunaweza ongelelea. Yeah, all I can say is if you go through that, kindly speak out, talk. If it gets physically, go and report it. Visit a therapist to be able to heal and get advice on how to deal with some things. I've come to the end, and I hope you've enjoyed the Real Talk Tuesday, and next week we'll be having another topic. And yeah, even ndivyo tu iko, I don't have anything else because I had written some points, hata sijaangalia sijachukua book kuangalia. So that's the end, and I hope you've loved the video. You can give out your opinions, you can add something, and I hope I've not triggered anyone. I've not made someone think of something that really hurts them, but I'm really sorry if I've triggered you. My aim for this was just to talk and be open and try and talk about some things that I feel are not talked enough in our society, because I've never sat down and heard someone talking about abuse. Sijawai, and it's a broad topic. I'll bring even someone else and we'll talk about it again, because chenye nimecover is just the little, and that's what for me nimeona. But kuna watu wengine they'll give the opinion, and I'd prefer a guy because a guy will be able to show us the perspective of men. And yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in till this far. Don't forget to subscribe, to share, to like, and to comment. Na nawapenda sana guys. Road to 40k subscribers, and yeah, bye bye.